Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In this clip, Mark Moss talks to Danny Knowles about the convergence of three major cycles: political, financial, and technological, driving a global revolution. Mark explores how events like Russia's bank seizures expose flaws in centralized financial systems, positioning Bitcoin as a key player in a decentralizing era. He also delves into the impact of open-source AI models, like DeepSeek, and their role in empowering individuals, reshaping technology in 2025.
So I talk about three cycles. So that is just the political revolution cycle. So that's, like I said, 250 years is also like the lifespan of a democracy, lifespan of a, whatever. So that's 250 years. But then we have this 80-year financial revolution cycle. And then we have a 50-year technological revolution cycle. And the point was that all three of these, even on different time frames, 50, 80, and 250, are all converging at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so powerful. So now we get into Russia and their bank accounts being seized. And really that was the trigger point for the financial system to start breaking apart.
I see.
Right? Certainly it leads into the political side. And so those things are converging to the point. But that really leads into like all of a sudden the world's like, can we trust this inside money? Wait a minute, like we're using a system that's controlled by somebody else. And certainly we've seen all these other small nations get sanctions, but we're a superpower with nuclear weapons.
Mark's take on global mistrust really hits hard. He's pointing out how Russia's bank account seizures expose the flaws of inside money systems controlled by others, even rattling superpowers. This convergence of 200-year political and 80-year financial cycles, as Mark describes, is fueling massive instability, making nations question the dollar post-Bretton Woods. It's a stark reminder of the need for a new monetary order, and Mark sees Bitcoin stepping in here.
And so that was certainly a piece of that. But really, if you look at, back to what I said, like a Bretton Woods agreement was about 80 years ago. And now the world is asking for a new, Trump is trying to usher in a new global order with the monetary system. And so about 80 years.
And then, so that's the political and the financial. Other one being the technological, which I assume AI is like the big driver of this.
So what's interesting about the 50-year technological revolution cycle, the quantum wave cycle, as I like to call it, is that they happen about every 50 years. We're on the sixth one. So with the Bitcoin halving cycle, most people think that Bitcoin halving cycle will continue because it's happened a few times in the past. This one has happened now 6 times over 300 years. And so the likelihood of it continuing is very high likely. But it's not just one technology, it's a cluster of technologies that come together to build new building blocks.
So this is like we're seeing rumors that fusion might be kind of just around the corner. The AI.
I think I'm calling it the era of a decentralized revolution. So like in the Industrial Revolution, it was mechanized. It was Industrial Revolution, mechanized machines. The first time we had machines that could do the work of 5,000 men. And then we got in steel and we got electricity and then we got mass production, automobiles. But then we got, in 1971, we got the microprocessor. But it wasn't just microprocessor. It brought microprocessors, personal computers, and the internet.
Yep.
That's a powerful lens on today's financial upheaval. Mark's breakdown of tech revolutions is so thought-provoking. He's showing how 50-year cycles bring clusters of innovations, like the microprocessor leading to PCs and the internet, transforming society with new building blocks. Today's decentralizing revolution, with Bitcoin at its heart, fits this pattern, and Mark hints at fusion and AI joining in. It's wild to think how past cycles brought surprises like the cloud, and now we're on the brink of another leap. What game-changing tech might this cycle unleash?
And so it's like this cluster that we built these new things that we didn't know about because it gave us new set of building blocks. Like, for example, in the mid-90s when the internet was first coming out, we had these visions of like, we'll have these like virtual town halls. And one day we'll probably buy stuff online, right? And those things came true. But we didn't think that we'd have cars hooked to something called a cloud, using something called social media to navigate us around traffic, because we didn't have a cloud, we didn't have social media, right? So there was new building blocks. And so what I see today is the decentralization, the decentralizing revolution, which is Bitcoin, but it's also AI. And people would argue that AI is very centralizing because who controls the LLM, right? Who programmed it? But it's also, I see it You could argue it that way. I see it more decentralizing because now one person with a laptop and AI could do the work of hundreds of people or even thousands of people.
It makes you so much more efficient. And like the interesting thing on the AI side is when, like, I don't know when this would have been, a couple of years ago when ChatGPT like 3 was first blown up. That's the first time I'd really used AI.
November 22.
And then, so at that point, there was a lot of talk about like centralized AI having no moat and decentralized AI was going to take over. I don't really feel like we've seen that yet, but I think there's probably a future scenario where that does come true.
Well, I think it already is, right? So really DeepSeek was sort of that moment, right? So DeepSeek, Besant, the new Treasury Secretary, he was on, I think it was Tucker, and he said, the problem in the market is not a MAGA problem. It's not what Trump did with tariffs. He said it's a MAG 7 problem. And he said specifically, DeepSeek is what changed the market. And I did a couple of videos on this. So when DeepSeek was an AI, an LLM that was brought out by China, and it's an open source model. And they were able to program it for a fraction of the money that OpenAI. Also, what changed the market is that they were able to do it on like a fraction of the amount of chips.
Yeah.
And so
Do you
NVIDIA's
believe that though, like, because they said they built that for like 6 million or something.
Yeah, I think it was a lie, like most stuff that comes out of China. So they spent way more money. They didn't classify it the right way.
Yeah.
But what changed is it's open source.
Yeah.
So we can get into the specifics of the numbers. I think that's less relevant for what we're talking about. But what it was an open source model. And so what they showed is that we can have these open source models that can just train off of other models.
Mark's insight on AI's shift is incredible. He's highlighting how China's DeepSeek, built on a fraction of the chips for $6 million, shook the AI market with open source models, challenging giants like OpenAI. This move breaks monopolies, letting anyone train models off others, which Mark sees as a big win for decentralization. It empowers individuals with AI tools that run locally, completely changing the game. That's a huge deal for tech accessibility.
And so what it did was the monopoly companies like OpenAI, like Google Gemini, all of a sudden sort of got their business models upended by open source models. And now since then, we've had at least another half a dozen open source models come out of China. Maybe we could even go back to Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg sort of threw the first grenade in, I would say, because they opened their Llama LLM as open source as well. And I think that was sort of like a FU to OpenAI, maybe. But anyway, so now we have these open source models that are coming out, and now we're getting them where you can just run them on your local computer.
Yeah.
So that starts to get away from the like who trained the LLM. We have all these models, all these competing models, open source models so we can see it, and ones that I can run locally.
This was a fascinating conversation full of valuable insights. But the 3 main lessons from this conversation are: 1. Converging cycles fuel global shifts. Mark highlights the rare convergence of 200-year political, 80-year financial, and 50-year technological cycles, driving unprecedented change. Events like Russia's bank seizures reveal the fragility of centralized systems, pushing nations to rethink monetary trust. This overlap, as Mark notes, amplifies the shift toward a new global order, with Bitcoin at the forefront. 2. Decentralized tech reshapes society. The 50-year technological cycle brings clusters of innovation, Mark explains, like microprocessors birthing the internet. Today's decentralizing revolution includes Bitcoin, fusion, and AI, creating new building blocks for society. These technologies empower individuals, offering tools to bypass centralized control, as seen with Bitcoin's role in financial freedom. 3. Open source AI drives empowerment. Mark emphasizes how open source AI models like DeepSeek disrupt monopolies, enabling anyone to train models affordably. This shift, sparked by China and followed by Zuckerberg's LLM, decentralizes AI, letting individuals run models locally. It's a game changer for 2025, breaking big tech's grip and boosting efficiency for all. So, what do you think about this Bitcoin conversation? Let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoy this type of content and want to see more, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, keep learning and keep stacking.